Welcome to Living with Purpose. And today I have a fabulous guest, Jayshree Seth. She is this woman leader, a women scientist, a women icon. And Jayshree is the corporate scientist at 3M. She is the first ever chief scientist and science advocate at 3M. She holds 80 patents of variety of innovations. She is a prolific speaker, inventor, writer, thought leader. So we are so excited to welcome you, Jayshree. So welcome to Living with Purpose.
Thanks for having me. I'm a fan of your work.
Thank you. So let's start off. I'm just so impressed with you spent 30 plus years at 3M and then coming from India, getting into this as one of these women science leaders is just awesome. So just talk a little bit about your journey of how you got to where you are.
Well, first, thank you for the kind words. I grew up on the campus of an engineering institution in India. My dad was actually a university professor, and all of us kids in town, we were strongly encouraged to go into engineering. In my case, the only problem was that I didn't necessarily think of myself as what I thought was the, science and engineering type. I just wanted to help people. I wanted to improve lives. I wanted to make the world a better place. And I didn't quite see the connection between STEM fields and how they were talked about or even taught, science, technology, engineering, and math. But as a result of this strong encouragement from parents, and if any of your audience are Indian, they know what that could mean. I did end up in engineering. And then I came to US for graduate school. And to be very honest, I did feel a little lost from my initial sense of purpose. I actually call them pangs of purpose that you feel during your lifetime. Am I doing what I wanted to do? Is this what I should be doing? It just didn't feel congruous with my goals, if you will. So from my master's to my PhD, I actually changed my subject. And that's when it really lit a fire under me, because it's only then I realized that through what I was doing, the research I was doing, you could help others. So I'm a late bloomer in science, but I'm glad I got there. And so after a summer internship, I ended up at 3M. And as you said, I've been there, long career. It's been 31 years. Because in looking back, I realized it had everything I needed: a culture of empowerment, an emphasis on collaboration, and a communal context of improving lives. Our purpose is to unlock the power of people, ideas, and science and reimagine what is possible. And that's what drives our innovation. And in 2018, I was then asked to take this additional role of first ever chief science advocate, which I finally accepted after I sort of reframed my context. And as a result, my purpose. I actually have a TEDx talk on this exact topic. And here I am today. That's my story from not the science type to chief science advocate.
So let's just, if you don't mind, just spend 1 or 2 minutes more on your rise as a STEM leader in a Fortune 500 company. So many of our listeners, so many of my students, particularly women students, are always trying to understand how do you grow in a company and get into leadership roles in predominantly a male dominated environment. And you, with a very different cultural background, coming into the US and then thriving in a culture here of science and technology. So maybe if you can just share a little bit about your journey and some kernels that everybody should follow.
I always wanted to do good work. And once I realized what I'm doing is going to help someone, it just unleashed a lot of the creativity that I had. And it was a very simple process. I would identify a problem to solve and I would just go at it with persistence. And a bit of a naive view about things as well, which really helped propel this curiosity and creativity. Like, why do we do things the way we do things? How could we do it better? And then working with others to sort of solve those problems. So what I would say is, and I should clarify, I am not in a people management role. I wanted to stay technical, stay in the lab and do this work. And I have shied away from management responsibility. So I am still an individual contributor. However, I think what really helps and it definitely helped me, is what I call the grant of an immigrant mindset. I want to be very clear. It's not that you have to be an immigrant, it's a mindset. And what it is about grit, about resourcefulness, adaptability, navigation skills, and transcendence. And if you have that, you can push forward and solve problems and work with others and take failure in the right perspective and learn from it and keep moving on, because you just go, hey, I'm an immigrant to this topic. I know nothing about it. So I'm going to show grit because I need that, resourcefulness because I need that, and adaptability because I don't know what I will have to do and how I will have to work. Navigation skills, figure out how the decisions are made, how the problems are solved, how you get visibility about this problem, and transcendence. I'm doing it for a bigger purpose, not just me. It's going to solve problem for a customer. It's going to be good for our company, stuff like that. So grant of the immigrant mindset is what I say everybody should adopt, because mind you, now all of us might be immigrants in AI or a quantum mechanics or whatever it is that'll become everyday life. So that mindset is really helpful.
This is very awesome. I love the fact that, yesterday I had a speaker in my class who was actually talking about, similarly saying, hey, create your set of values and identify it and live by it. And you actually just identified your values in terms of how you have shown up and how that has actually helped you grow in your career and in your life. So now turning to purpose. Why do you think purpose is important for you? And how have you shown up with purpose in life?
Yeah, to me, purpose has that sense of transcendence that we talked about, right? It's kind of uncovering why you think you were put on this earth, if you will. It sounds kooky, but that's kind of what it is. It's a sense that I'm working on something that I was meant to do. It's bigger than just me. It's bigger than about me. It's bigger than for me. And as you go through life, our sense of purpose does evolve along with us. And that's a very important thing I tell everybody, especially young folks. Don't hunt down a purpose. Let it come to you. At least that's what I have found. There's no silver bullet, if you will. For most of us, it's a journey of uncovering and understanding and fulfilling this pull that you feel, the pangs of purpose, like I call them. And the key is to let yourself submit to this. And I say it is the fine print that we often don't take time to read. It's our feelings, identities, needs, and experiences. That is what leads us to our purpose. And what helps you define and refine it is context. So the TEDx talk that I just talked about, and you'll appreciate it, it's called Why I Reframed My Why, the context of purpose. Sometimes we forget that we all need context, and that is what powers our purpose. It helps us understand what is our why.
Really awesome. And again, this whole notion of the power of context and how it gets related to purpose is so important, because every single one of us will go through life in different contexts. And understanding that at different stages continues to then propel your purpose forward, because purpose is going to constantly evolve and change. As excellent framing of that. Share with us a little bit about how you have used purpose, especially when times get tough. And then, of course, when times are good, it kind of gets you to do even more. So give us a few examples that kind of set the right way to kind of think about how to use purpose.
Yeah, well, right now, my purpose is to use my talent, my time, my treasure, in my role as science advocate. And in my TEDx talk, I crystallized 3 questions everybody can ask themselves. And that will just help you give enough context to reconnect with whatever your purpose is. The first question is, have you ever thought in your journey that things should be different, easier, better for those who are coming after you on that path? Question number 2, have you ever shown up, spoken up, or stood up for something or someone? And question number 3, have you ever said, somebody somewhere somehow should fix this? Chances are the answer is yes. Then give your sense of advocacy some legitimacy, give it some agency of purpose. And really, how I got this is through that tough time of reflection and transition and action. So let me tell you about the tough period, right? So in 2020, we were all locked down at home, unprecedented. parents sick in a different country. I mean, it was just a very tough time and you had no idea what's going on. And then Memorial Day weekend, we have the George Floyd killing right in our backyard in Minneapolis. And that was raw and revealing. And it made me really go existential. So I'm not Black, I'm not white, but what is my role in this as a highly privileged, highly educated South Asian immigrant? And have I really paid the dues of understanding what are all the systemic aspects at play? And I have. And so I went through my grief cycle and I educated myself on everything I could read, watched everything. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this. And now I know this. What should I do? And I kept thinking about this. And then I decided, okay, here's an idea. So I write all these essays about things that I have learned through my career as a chief science advocate, as a scientist, as an innovator, as a parent, all those things. I'll put all of that together and we'll publish it through Society of Women Engineers. And then all proceeds will go to a scholarship for underrepresented women in STEM, Black, Latin, Indigenous. And it was remarkable. Society for Women Engineers, I cold called their CEO. I had known them because I had won the highest achievement award from Society of Women Engineers. And they were like, yeah, we are looking and searching for what to do. So long story short, I wrote this book and then a scholar was actually selected and given the scholarship to support their STEM journey. It was mind blowing to me that one person can make a difference. Like we always talk about it, I actually got to see it. And how that happened, it's a sign. I believe in all that stuff. So I get invited to give the Silas Ethics lecture at Georgia Tech. And guess where the first scholar out of all the schools they could be going, they're going to Georgia Tech. So I actually got to meet them. And it was just so inspiring to think that, I took one step, others joined in. That's how change happened. That's how positive things happen. That's how purpose comes to life. And so I was in my flight back. I was like, I'm going to write another one. I'm going to write another one. I can't stop here. So I wrote another one. From our 2 books now in the last 4 years, 5 scholars have their journeys been supported in part from the sales proceeds. And soon my 3rd book comes out. And so that's been the tough part of recognizing what your purpose is and never realizing this is something that you could do. And my books actually have frameworks and mental models for leadership, for innovation, for careers. So if I could request you to put the link to my books in your show notes, because the bottom line is giving the gift of education, that's the best gift you can give. And it's not just what you give, it's also what you take away from the books, because the framework that I talked about, grant immigrant mindset, that's in there. The framework I talked about, fine print, that's in there. So it's really things that people can take from that and make themselves successful in their careers and hopefully give back.
Congratulations on the forthcoming book. Absolutely. We will share and evangelize. So something that stood out to me is this notion of taking a step, that one person can make a difference if you actually take that step. But what you actually said was the step was taken after deep reflection. And that deep reflection allowed you to educate yourself and learn with an open mind so you are overcoming biases, because we all have biases. And that once that happens, then you can start taking these steps and then you can start building on these steps. And then one person can show up. So in some ways, it is showing up for life with purpose. And I think, Jayshree, this is such an awesome example of how anybody can do it. So with that, let's end the podcast by you just sharing with us your one golden nugget, a piece of wisdom that you want to share with our listeners.
Well, my one golden nugget is be good, work hard, live well. When I was growing up, my mom always used to say, you have to be good, you have to be good. And my dad always emphasized the importance of working hard. And only after I grew up, I realized the genius of these simple statements that I pretty much heard at the outset of my journey, because you never really know if you're being good enough or if you're working hard enough. And of course, I added live well to it to round it out. So be good, the best you can be in that moment, and you'll surprise yourself. Work hard on the things you truly think can help you do good. you'll surprise yourself and live well. Keep defining for yourself what that means to you, given your place and your purpose in life. And I say that because I wouldn't have known or even thought that this is where I will be and what I will do. But I got there, and the why, my purpose in a way, has led me here. So that is the golden nugget for me.
Thank you very much, Jayshree, for that wonderful piece of advice of how we can all live by just being good, working hard, living well, smile. Smile is a great way to live well. And with that, again, remember, purpose is this renewable source of energy that drives humanity forward. Thank you all very much, and come back, listen to the next episode. Thanks.
Thank you.